You aren't still afraid of the dark, are you? Creepy things that go bump in the night? Do you remember the old stories you were told as a child? Have you ever wondered about those strange and creepy local tales? You know, the ones you've heard about from family and friends? Turn off your lights. Get comfortable, if you dare, as Michelle and Drew delve into the unknown and explore your local myths in this two-part series, The Strange Tales of the Pee Dee. Colonel Abel Cobb's tomb is located in Society Hill, South Carolina. The Revolutionary War hero Colonel Abel Cobb was murdered by British Tories in April of 1781 near the banks of the Great Pee Dee River in Society Hill. While death is commonplace, Cobb's demise was different. On the night of April 28, 1781, Cobb was captured by British loyalists. He agreed to surrender at the behest of his family and paid the ultimate price. He was shot in front of his wife and children, one historian described as an act of bloodlust carried out by British loyalists seeking revenge on Cobb for resecuring the Pee Dee from British control. Cobb was killed without warning and his home was set ablaze. Local lore says Cobb's ghost haunts that burial site, which happens to be the same spot where he was captured and killed. According to some reports, Colonel Cobb, along with his family, was burned alive nearby during the Revolutionary War. According to the local lore, those who visit Colonel Cobb's tomb at night will hear the sound of someone walking in the woods and may suddenly find the apparition of a man right next to them. Inscribed on the tomb of Colonel Cobb is the message, Grave of Colonel Abel Cobb, born ca. 1750, commander of the Pee Dee Regiment of General Francis Marion's Brigade. Colonel Cobb was murdered by Tories near here, April 26, 1781.
Okay, Drew, we are in the middle of the woods, as you can see, here in Society Hill, and we've come across something. Could you tell us a little bit about where we are?
All right. So this is the actual site of the tomb of Colonel Cobb, also known as Colonel Kolb, K-O-L-B. He was part of Francis Marion's regiment during the war, and this is actually where he's buried. His tomb is right here, and his house was not far from here, within a mile. And what happened was, one night, Tory raiders came to this area to take down the troops, and they found out that Colonel Cobb lived in this home. And so what they did was they went up and surrounded his home. And while they were surrounding his home, his wife and his children and all the housekeepers and stuff were inside. And so was Colonel Cobb. And they said, you know, you will come out and surrender yourself as a prisoner of war, or we will burn your house down, killing you and your children and your wife and everyone in the home. So after some discussion with his wife, Colonel Cobb decided that he would walk out and surrender himself. So as Colonel Cobb walked onto his porch to surrender himself as a prisoner of war, the Tory raiders opened fire on him, killing him right there in front of his family, and then immediately lit the house on fire. So there's nothing that I read that said that the family burned inside the home, so it seems as though they may have been able to get out. There is some documentation in the genealogicals that say that, you know, his daughter died many years later, which means that she obviously got out. But he did not, however. So he is buried here, and a tree has fallen across the grave and across this entire area. Luckily for four-wheel drive in my Jeep, we were able to make it back here. Behind us, directly behind us, down this path is actually the Pee Dee River. Is it the Great Pee Dee River? And so if you come out here, of course, be respectful of what is out here. Be careful, because it is a lot of very large tree limbs and branches, and literally the whole tree is laying in front of Colonel Combs' tomb. So, but you can go here and out to the river. And like I said, the house that would have been somewhere in this area too, not far, like less than a mile from here, and I assume probably even less than that, because the gravestone says that he died here, which would mean that this at some point was probably where the home was, and maybe this is where the steps slide. Now that's my assumption, I do not know that, but since all documentation says that he died here, and we know that he was shot as he walked out the front door, I would assume this is where the front door would have been. So, and that was a long time ago. Let me tell you exactly. It was April 26th, 1781 was the day that Colonel Cobb died and was trying to surrender himself as a prisoner of war. So, pretty cool story about that. Lots more to tell you, I'm sure. But another one of South Carolina's amazing little myths, or legends in this case, because it's true. All right, hope you guys like that.
So as you can see, this is the tree that has fallen on the property. Maybe if any of you out there have nice big trucks and chainsaws, maybe y'all can come out here and kind of clean this place up. You can tell it's a very beautiful, peaceful place.
Someone suggested I hitch my Jeep, but I don't think they realized how big the logs were.
Right.
I could probably pull these smaller ones, but I definitely cannot pull that whole tree back there. But people have been out here since it fell, because we didn't put that flag there. Somebody else did that.
Somebody's left their little tokens of memorial. There's I don't know how well you can see it, but there's like a wrought iron fence that's supposed to surround the mark. So yeah, this place definitely needs some love.
Absolutely. If you're stuck at home and looking for something to do, it's a great idea to come out here and try to clean this up.
Right. Just be
I'm sure
careful
he'd
when you
appreciate
do.
it.
Bring your bug spray.
Oh yeah. DEET is your friend right now.
Yeah, this man was obviously very important to this area. Someone has thought to create this memorial for him, so it would be nice if maybe somebody could come and see it better maintained.
Salem United Methodist Church in Timminsville, South Carolina is home to the memorial site for PFC Duncan Owen Lee, born 18th September 1925, died February 20th, 1945. The Lee family World War II memorial marker is located at the Salem United Methodist Church in Timminsville, South Carolina. This is a 5-foot-tall white marble statue of PFC Duncan Owen Lee standing on top of a tall base. He wears an infantry uniform with his insignia, a hat, and accessories, while he leans with both hands on his rifle in front of him. Lee was killed in action near Forbach, France on February 20th, 1945, and was buried in Epinal, France. In April of 1948, PFC Duncan Owen Lee's body was returned to the United States and buried at the Salem United Methodist Church. Hey, I'm out here at Salem United Methodist Church in Timminsville with my manager, Michelle. She's usually my fantastic, fabulous camera girl, and she's actually
co-pilot.
Is my co-pilot, my partner in crime. No, I'm just kidding. And we are out here, and she's going to tell us a pretty cool story about this guy right here.
Right, so we are here at Salem United Methodist Church in Timminsville. Here we are standing in front of Private First Class Duncan Owen Lee's grave site and memorial plot. So basically the idea here, and this is a story that came from my mom, it's not much of a story, but it's still really cool to hear. You know, her and her friends, when they were growing up here in Timminsville, would always say that if you came out here at night, or if you came out here with bad intent, that Private First Class Owens here would look out for you, and he would turn at attention, and he would watch you and keep watch over his resting place and the other people that are here to call this their resting place. So it's like I said, it's not much of a story. Private First Class Lee was killed in action in France in February 20th, 1945. We'll do some more research on him because he's been a statue here. He's been on the lookout here since I can remember. I've come to this church when I was a little bitty baby. I've got family in this area. So, yep, he's been on watch and at attention for a long time now. And it's just a really cool story that we have in our family.
It said that they brought him, okay, so he was killed in France and buried there, and 2 years later, it says in April 18th of 1948, they actually brought him back to the United States and put his body here.
Right.
So even though there was a memorial here for him then, his body was brought back 2 years later. So that's pretty cool too, because you don't see a lot of those gravestones where the person was buried overseas or wherever it was that they fell, and then 2 years later brought back to have their body put to rest here. So
right, he was obviously very beloved by his family and his community. He's surrounded by family members and other people that were important to him, I'm sure. So yeah, this was just one of those things where while we are out looking for other stories to tell, I went and talked to my own family, and this one was a story that my mom told me, and so it was just a chance for us to find something that was personal. So that's something that you all can do while you can't do a whole lot else right now. Talk to your parents, talk to your grandparents, find out if there's any other cool myths and legends that might be running in your family, or little stories like that you can find out more about your family. If you ever want to research your family history, the library is a really great place to do that. Also, the Darlington Historical Commission, if you've got any family in this area, would be a really good place to hit up. And while we're here, also, I have family buried here. My grandmother is buried here. I have an uncle that's buried here. My grandfather is buried here. So if you're out and about and you decide to come visit any of these places, again, we want you to please be respectful of these places. This place is obviously very special to me. I was married at the church that was here. So this place is very near and dear to my heart. So not only just because this place is special to me, but anywhere you go, any of these places, whether they're on private property, at a church, any of these places, please be respectful, because
let the resting rest.
Right. You never
wouldn't
know.
want somebody messing with your family's
Exactly.
stuff, so just respect those that have passed on.
And they say if you don't, that you can something will follow you home.
So,
and you never know. I mean, this guy
I don't want any following me home from
this
the
guy
cemetery.
stands watch over here. I wouldn't want him following me home.
Absolutely not. Absolutely not.
But another cool story from the Pee Dee area.
Hope you enjoyed it. Happy haunting. Located in Lamar, South Carolina, is the Andrews Cemetery. It is said that the members of the original Savannah Grove Church were buried here before the new Savannah Grove Church Cemetery was opened nearby in 1981. This cemetery has not been maintained in years, is difficult to find, and has many large grave markers overturned and damaged. Several children are buried outside of the actual cemetery. The Salem Black River Presbyterian Church is located on South Carolina 527, just a few miles from Maysville, a small town of roughly 1,000 people in Sumter County. The church was formed by Scotch-Irish settlers in 1759. The church is located on a private property. A log meeting-style house and a wooden-frame building occupied this space before the first brick building was constructed in 1802, giving the church its nickname, the Brick Church. The present church was built in 1846 and stands as one of the earliest brick churches in South Carolina. It is said to be home to several different ghosts. In fact, it is considered to be one of the most haunted buildings in South Carolina. One of the ghosts is said to be the specter of the Southern Belle, another a very sad little boy, often seen sobbing by the entrance of the cemetery gates. It is also said to be haunted by a priest whose entire family was wiped out by the plague. At the back of the church is a small building where people have experienced cold spots, seen lights flickering, and even encounters of a shadowy figure, a man who might be the priest in question. When you visit the Salem Black River Presbyterian Church, you may see a small white frame wood building behind the main church building. This is Salem's Session House, a building where the business of church was conducted, including the trials of members who had fallen from grace. Salem and many other churches of this period kept meticulous records of trials of their members. Behind the session house, you'll find the graveyard. By all means, take the time to reverently stroll through the burial grounds. It is perfectly laid out and very easy to navigate. Many notable individuals have been laid to rest here, with the earliest marked grave being from 1794. The Salem Black River Presbyterian Church Cemetery dates from 1794 and sits on land officially deeded to the church in 1830. Salem Black River Presbyterian Church is listed on the National Registry of Historic Places. The small building found on the outskirts of the graveyard is the final historic building on this property. For convenience, this is a period operational outhouse available. The best feature about this building is that you can bring 5 of your closest friends, because this outhouse has 6 holes. A truly living history. Hey, we're out here at Salem Black River Presbyterian Church in Maysville, South Carolina, which is right outside of Sumter. It is part of Sumter County. And my manager here, Michelle, is going to tell us about the legend that goes with this cemetery and this church.
So this church is said to be one of the oldest brick churches in the state. It's a Greek revival with beautiful columns in the front. It's a very well-maintained property. And we are standing in front of the very old iron gate that surrounds the cemetery. So the legend, since we are here talking about South Carolina legends, the legend goes that in the early 1900s there was a priest and his family that lived here. So the cottage to our right was said to be their family property where they lived in the early 1900s. There's no specific dates. As often there are with legends, there's no concrete details where you can actually research all of these events. Legend has it that his family fell under some sort of illness. We're not sure if it was the Spanish flu that was coming through at that time, not sure what it was, but either way, his family fell sick and everyone died except for him. And, you know, he decided to curse God for taking his family from him, and then he started practicing these satanic rituals and, you know, doing all these things, having black mass and doing all this satanic stuff in order to curse God and curse the land and for, you know, his betrayal for taking his family away. So the legend has it that he haunts these grounds, and he is buried somewhere. There's said to be 2 cemeteries. We looked for the second cemetery, couldn't find any evidence of that. There is a little path that kind of winds back, but it goes back to like a little garden shed. No cemetery we saw, or graveyard, or any kind of thing like that. But here by the gate there is another story of a little boy, and some say it's the little boy of the priest whose father went mad and crazy and, you know, satanic and everything. And the little boy is here by the front gate to warn people off from coming to these grounds, to keep people away from his father who went, you know, mad and angry and decided to curse everything. And if you come to this place, there is a grave marker, and it says John J. James, who died in his 6th year, which would hold to there being a little boy by the gate. Because there actually is a little boy by the gate. There is a grave marker for that.
It's the first one you see when you come into the
right.
right.
As you come in, and next to him is a gravestone or a plot for his father, who was a reverend. So that's probably where this story came from. Drew can tell you that we haven't felt
Anything here.
no maliciousness
Nothing
here.
bad, no.
We haven't had any cool breezes come through, no chills, no nothing. A lot of little horse flies, but, you know, a lot of sweating.
A lot of sweating.
But you can tell from the sweating we've had no cold chills.
No, absolutely not. And it is very shady here, so it should be cool.
Yeah.
It's just not.
It's just a
hot.
regular
South Carolina hot day.
June, summer, South Carolina day.
Yep.
So we're going to take you around the grounds. We'll show you the beautiful architecture of the church. We'll show you the little cabin where it's supposedly haunted and everything. But if you do decide to come out here, you should know that it is posted that you are trespassing after dark.
So don't come after dark.
Don't come after dark. And again, like we've said with everywhere else, you are on hallowed ground. This is people's final resting place, so be respectful. I've also heard that this is still an active church, it's still an active congregation. They meet, they don't meet during the summer months because it gets too hot, and it is an old church.
Yes, I can see that would be very hot.
But I think they meet every other Sunday so often. I'm sure it's all on their website. I want to say I saw it on their Facebook page. You can always find that out.
And there's somebody here cleaning right now, so we know it's obviously
somebody
well
loves
kept up.
this.
Yeah.
Loves this property. You should also know that in the news there's been vandalization of this church, which breaks my heart because it is a beautiful property.
Beautiful.
if you thought about coming out here trying to conjure some sort of evil spirits or whatever,
We find you better find a different one.
Don't
'cause
do
I don't
it.
think there's anything here you want to conjure up.
you're not going to find anything here. We don't feel anything here. It doesn't feel weird. It doesn't feel spooky. It just feels peaceful, restful. It is a little creepy because it does have the Spanish moss from the trees, but, you know.
Shady, there's a lot of trees, there's the Spanish moss hanging from them, and the tombstones and graves here are very worn and old, so it does have that kind of like nostalgic creep factor to it.
Right.
But as far as feeling creepy, no. I could take a nap, for sure.
So we hope you enjoyed it. And catch us on the next time. You'll never know where we
Where
might
might we
end up
going?
next.
And if you have a local story you'd like for Michelle and I to dig deeper into, we would love to hear it. Maybe we could even get you to come on film. And even if you don't, if you'll just message us about it, let us know the location, tell us a little bit about the story, we'll do a little research on it ourselves, see if we can find anything more out for you. So, just remember, always, anytime you're out happy haunting, be respectful of the places that you're visiting. You don't want to destroy it, number one, because this is somebody's resting place. You wouldn't want someone to do that to your family. And number two, how are we going to happily haunt if everybody gets us where we can't go anywhere? Not cool. And never leave your litter.
No.
Never leave your litter. If you want to sit out here on the back of your truck bed and have a little friendly get together, fine, dandy, but pick up your trash.
Definitely.
Yeah. So you guys have a great day, great, amazing weekend, and we'll see you next time. Goodbye.